Hey guys, welcome to 8 Rice Up. I'm your host, Ryan. This is my beautiful wife, Maida.
Hello.
So excited to have you guys here today. Today, we wanted to talk about dating.
Yes.
Yes, big scary
That's
thing.
that's a scary word when you're in your 30s.
Yes, yes, it is. Because with us, we both got married in our early 20s, right? And
Right.
and it's funny because both of us, we really only dated one person, married them. We're married. I was married 10 years. You were married 15. And then when they passed away, it's like, oh, now we've got to date again. And it's not just, oh, I've got to date again. I'm going to date with kids.
Right.
And now I'm 30 and there's all these weird dating apps and there's all the, because before it was, I got to meet somebody in person,
Right.
right? And now there's, oh, meet you online. Is this photo real? Are you catfishing me? Or it's weird now.
There's just it was awful. It was awful. I hated it. Honestly, like I downloaded a couple of apps. I think it was Mutual, the one that I downloaded first. And I felt so weird. I actually felt, I don't know if you felt this, but I felt like I was cheating on my
Oh
husband.
yeah, 100%. Because well, you go over a decade and you're like, don't look at another person. Like, don't even look at them, right? And suddenly you're supposed to be going out finding people and you're like, oh, you're attractive, which that's a weird thought to have. I'm not like, nobody's attractive, only my wife. You know what I mean? And
Especially because your wife was very jealous,
she
right?
did she did get very jealous. And yeah, she got very jealous. And so it's like, all right, put blinders on. And so yeah, trying to rip those off and being like, oh, you're attractive and that's okay. That was hard. It was very hard.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was so weird. I just really like, I've said before, like, I just wanted a friend,
Hmm.
but people wanted other stuff, right? Like, I was like, let's just take it slow
Right.
and let's not go fast. But I didn't know, I mean, at least when I dated Tyler, um, I didn't know that people kiss on the first date. Did you? Did you know that?
No, no, I didn't kiss on the first date.
I'd never even held hands, and there were like guys that wanted to hold my hand and kiss, and there was maybe like one guy, two guys that wanted to do that, and I'm like, don't touch me. But you told me that here it's very common, especially in Provo,
Right.
to hold hands, right?
Yeah, holding hands isn't a big deal.
Okay,
But
that was new. That was new to me.
when you're young, it's like, ah, whatever, go have fun. But yeah, when in your 30s, it's just kind of expected. You go on a date, you're like, oh, let's make out afterwards. You're like,
In your 30s.
in your 30s.
Are you saying that off of your experience or?
No, no, not my experience. No, I'm just saying it was interesting talking to people because, well, on these dating apps, everybody would say, well, even with you, they would expect you to send or ask for photos.
They did ask me for pictures.
That's
Like
weird.
very, very R-rated
Yeah,
pictures.
yeah, like sexual pictures, and you're like, what? And so people that I talked to, they were waiting for me to ask for pictures, and I'm like, why? Why would I ask for pictures? Like that didn't even process in my compute in my head because I'm like, we're dating. We're not like I didn't know we were hooking up.
Right, right. No, it's just it's scary.
Yeah.
It is really scary. And I was actually waiting, like out of all the guys, I talked to a bunch of guys online, see how we would communicate, see if we had any chemistry, just talking, chatting, whatever,
Hmm.
before I even went out with them. Like I never went on a blind date. Never have I ever. And so for me, that was kind of weird. They're like, hey, do you want to do this? Hey, but you don't know me. Like, how
Right.
do you even do that? That is so awkward. And then on top of that, being a widow, I felt like I was so embarrassed. I didn't want people to see me that I was dating or that I
Right.
was with another guy. I felt like they were going to tell me, you're cheating. I felt like I was a cheater. Honestly, even talking to guys, it was so awkward to
Hmm.
just talk to guys and for them to expect me to flirt with them, or I don't know what they were expecting, right? But I was like, what's up? I don't know. It was so awkward. I don't
Hmm.
know. Maybe you saw me awkward when you met me.
When I saw you, really, I got on the app and it was a weird experience when I saw you because I was just swiping through, right? And I was swiping and I'm like, and I stopped and I came back and I went and read your profile. I'm like, oh, you're a widow. Hey, I'm a widow. You've got 3 kids. I've got 3 kids. I said, huh, I'm like, you're probably miserable just like me. Let's be miserable together. Maybe we have something in common, right? As funny as that is, but that's how it was. That's how my brain thought. And, I wasn't looking to get married. I was just looking really for a companion, for somebody to talk to that could
Right.
understand. Right.
Right.
Because I jumped on those, the Facebook groups and stuff, and it was a lot of sad, depressed people.
Yes.
And I didn't want to talk to sad, depressed people. I'm
'Cause
like,
they would make you more depressed.
and I'm like,
It was so weird. It was so weird. Especially people that have gotten divorced, and I feel for them. I have a sister that is divorced.
well, my mom's divorced. Yeah.
Your mom is divorced, and I don't have anything against them. We're not on the same page.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because with divorce, there's usually a lot of resentment, a lot of anger. There's bitterness, and with a death, it's different.
Yeah.
Because we love our spouse,
Yeah.
like we miss them, and it's not like we can call them and be like, oh, well, let's get on the phone, or I'm not dreading that phone call of, oh, they're going to come take the kids, right? It's
You want to talk to them.
I wish my wife would call. That would be fantastic.
Right.
And so we miss them. And so dating, it's different, because when you talk to somebody and you're like, man, I miss my wife. They're like, what? Because they talk about their wife or their husband, and they're just like, oh my gosh, like what an a-hole, or what a,
Right. Right.
they're bitter about it.
They're very bitter about it, and that's what it was weird to them, is that I would talk about my husband like he was still alive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I miss him so much, and they would just get kind of jealous and be like,
Right.
you need to forget your husband, right? Because they wanted to forget, I'm guessing their previous spouse, and that's
Right.
why they were dating. It was to forget them and start new. I didn't want to start new like that. I wanted to always keep memories of my husband with me. Especially my baby. Like, he didn't get to know my husband. So how would I just forget him just like that? Like, we didn't get divorced. We didn't get on a fight. He just died, and I didn't even get to say bye to him.
Right. Yep.
So it was really awful. I want you to actually share, because I know for a lot of guys out there that are widowers and they go on dating apps, and like you were swiping. Oh, okay. You said that you saw me, so you saw me first. You found me,
I
actually.
did. I found you first.
And what happened?
Let me be open about that. Ooh. No,
You're not gonna get in trouble if you say the truth.
that's it's okay. So yeah, what happened was I was swiping through these apps, right? And honestly, my wife is Asia. She's half Filipina, right? So she's half white, half Filipina. So I always say she's my short brown girl. And I thought, I don't want somebody like that again. Like, you did the same thing, right? You're like, I don't want a white guy again.
Right. So my husband was 6'7", really big white guy. He was a football player in high school, and super blonde, blue eyes. That's just my type. And since I was little, right? And when he
Really?
died, yes. When he died, I was looking for somebody brown. Actually, I wanted a Latino man or a Polynesian. I wanted a Hawaiian. Like, I wanted somebody tall but brown. I wanted somebody different. I didn't want to get somebody that reminded me of my husband.
Right, exactly. I didn't want to get stuck looking at this new person and seeing Asia. That was my big fear. I was like, I want somebody new. I don't want a constant reminder. Like, I don't want to forget them, because Asia's still a big part of my life. I've got my beautiful children, but I don't want to repeat of the same thing and be like, I miss Asia.
Right.
Right. So when I was going through, I saw your picture. I'm like, she's brown. And I swiped and I stopped halfway through, and I came back because it wasn't a voice, right? I didn't hear a voice. It was definitely a feeling
Yeah.
of, you need to stop. And I was like, what is this? And I looked and I read it and I was like, oh, you're a widow. I'm a widow. Okay. Maybe this could work. Like, I would, because when I first got on the dating apps, I actually found a couple widows, and I just wanted advice. I'm like, how do I deal with my kids? Because
they were a lot older than you were, though, right?
right. right? Well, there was some, and there was one who was maybe 5 years older than me, but she was on dating apps, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm never going to get married again. I'm never going to." I'm like, "What are you doing on dating apps then?" Like, and it seemed like she was just kind of pointing people to the Facebook group, and I was like, "Okay," but I said, "Well, if you're on here, I'd love to chat, right?" So I was just asking about how to grieve and stuff, and how do I deal with my kids, because it's, oh my gosh, it's hard. But yeah, when I saw you, I stopped and I read it, and I was like, maybe you can understand what I'm going through, right? Because dating somebody who's never been married, it's hard because I talk about my kids.
Right.
They don't talk about their kids. They don't like.
They
I'm
don't
like,
have kids.
they don't have
They've
kids.
never had kids.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, I'd love to have kids, and I'm like, you say that like it's hard, you know. Kids are fun, but it's a lot of work, right? And it's like my pride and joy of my whole life are my kids. Like I'm always talking about, oh, you know, Jasmine's in this or Kamal's doing that, or you know, I'm so happy for them. I'm excited about them. And so it's hard to date somebody that didn't have that life experience. And so I was like, oh, somebody that's never been married. But then dating somebody who was divorced, there's that bitter and that anger, and sometimes it's you know they've gotten over it or they've gotten through it, and you know they're not as angry about it, but there's still like unresolved issues there.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, when I found you, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll reach out. Maybe I could chat.
But really, what you ended up doing was
I got really mad because
You
I
got
was still in
mad.
that phase. I got really mad, and I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of being told what to do. Nobody's going to tell me to stop and date this person. I'm like, I got really mad, and I'm like, I'm not going to date another brown girl. I'm not going to do it. You know, and I just got stubborn. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. So I swiped no, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do
You
it.
swipe no
I swiped
on
no.
me, like on me.
Took a while, but I did. I swiped no, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna find not a brown girl,
Right.
right? And then actually a few days later, you reached out.
I did.
You just put this line and said, hey.
I did. You know what? So I had just barely downloaded that app.
Was this like the
Uh,
third time or?
No, that was actually my first time.
Oh, okay.
I had gone through a lot of other apps, Mutual, eHarmony. I don't remember the names. But this app, somebody told me about it. And they're like, women have control on this one, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not like everybody can talk to you. You have to talk to them first.
Right.
And so on the other ones, I had a lot of guys reaching out to me that I was like, no. On this one, I felt a lot better because I had control. And so when I was going through it, I saw you and I'm like, oh, and it says he's a widow, just like me.
And I'm not old.
And he's not old. Oh my gosh. This is a miracle. Like for me, that was like, you need to talk to this guy. Not because I was planning on like we're getting married or anything like that, but I was like somebody like me, somebody that will understand me, somebody that is not gonna feel awkward, just talking about our spouses, right? And he has kids, so he gets it. And I was really excited, and I guess my excitement showed up through a hey.
Well, yeah, you said hey, and when I saw that,
You got mad.
I gotta tell you, I was in such a weird place, right? I was in this bitter, angry phase where I'm like, I hate everything, I hate everyone, and I'm mad about it, right? And you said hey, and my thought was, oh man, she wants me to start the conversation and carry it, and I'm like, do I really want to carry this conversation with another brown girl?
It's so sad.
Yeah, and so I let it sit there for a while, and eventually, like a couple days later, I was like, okay, I'll respond, right? And so I said, hey, and I said something stupid because I read your profile, and it
It
said,
actually took you about 5 days.
yeah, it took 5 days.
I was counting the days and I had decided that if you did not respond, I was just going to delete the app and I was just going to give up completely.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you were in class when I texted you.
I was at school
Yep.
and it was exactly I remember very well because I was waiting for your response and it was actually 5:45 p.m. So I'm guessing you were out of work
Yes.
by the time you texted me.
Yep.
Probably bored and you're like, nah, I guess I'll talk to this brown girl.
No. Yeah, that's exactly how it was. I was bored, and I was thinking about it for a while, and I'm like, all right, I'll reach out. I'm like, man, she's a widow. You know what? Worst case, like we can chat, we can connect, and we can be friends. Like that's okay.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I messaged you, and I'm just trying to be friendly, and I'm like, what's something I can talk about, right? Because oh man, I'm so bad at this whole flirting thing and getting to know you, especially with women that I find attractive, because I haven't done that in a while, right? So, I know on your profile it said you're from Costa Rica, right?
So let's get this straight. So I was attractive when you saw me. You didn't swipe no because I was not
No,
attractive.
you were very pretty.
Okay.
You were
Just,
very
just
pretty.
making sure.
No, you were very pretty, and that made me nervous. So, yeah, you said you're from Costa Rica, and then because it'd been 5 days, right? I forgot, and I'm like, oh, where are you from? And then after I sent it, I'm like, oh, that was stupid. That was dumb because I know where she's from.
Yeah, I hated that question.
Yeah, you got really offended at it.
I wasn't offended. I was just like, why is he asking me where I'm from?
Right. Well, then I made it worse. I said, where are you from? You're like, oh, from Costa Rica. I'm like, oh, that's cool because one of my friends is half Costa Rican. And I'm like, oh, what brought you here? Like, how did you get here? You know, like
Yeah.
work? Was it your parents? Was it like, I want to know the story. But that's not what you heard.
No, no. That made me feel like you were interviewing me why I was here
Right.
in the U.S.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, just one of those guys that they don't like foreign people, I guess.
Right. Like I was immigration. I'm like, what are you doing in the country? Yeah. And I have a bad habit of that. Like I interview people and I don't mean to, but I grill people because I'm curious. I'm like, well, tell me about
You're
this.
a
Like, I'm,
very curious
yeah,
person.
I like to
you
know.
do ask the wrong questions.
Yes, I do. And yeah, it was bad. So and you got really mad. You got upset about it because you're like, what is this guy saying? Like, am I supposed? He thinks I'm illegal. Like, what is this guy's problem?
And I don't have anything like against people that come here. I totally feel them. My family, they're all immigrants to this country, and they came 20, 40 plus years ago. And I didn't really care about that. But living in Utah, I feel like a lot of people, and I love people from Utah, like, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of people that they just don't like people that are not white.
Right. And well, Utah's very
It's very white.
Yeah, it's very white. It's
And
not as mixed as
we need
you know,
diversity.
Florida.
It's not like Florida, definitely. I feel a lot better here with my accent,
Yeah.
as a guy said.
Yep.
But anyway, long story short, I kind of felt attacked because you're like, so why are you here? What brought you here? And I hate that question.
Right.
I hate that question because I feel like you're asking me, why the heck are you in this country for?
Right. Right. And see, messaging people like that is so hard because anything you write is going to be read negatively. Right.
Yeah.
And so what I tried to do on the apps was I would send voice messages because then maybe I could soften it or you could hear my tone. But yeah, on this one, it was
That's so
just
true. Once I heard your voice, I was like, he has a sexy voice.
You're like, okay, now I'm listening.
Now I'm listening. Hold on. I'll forgive you.
But yeah, over text, it's terrible.
It is terrible.
It's-
So you did ask that question, and as diplomatic as I am and friendly, because I am a very friendly person, I carried on the conversation, and I told you my story. I came here for school, came to BYU, like most people, and came for school. Started dating my first boyfriend that I waited for on his mission, and we got married, and I stayed here because the plan was to go to school, and go back to my dad's business and work with my parents, right? On our family business. But I ended up staying here instead. So I told you all of that, and you're like, oh, okay, that's very interesting. You're just so awkward with the questions you were asking.
Yeah.
I really felt interrogated. I was like, who is this guy? But anyway, I was just as friendly as I could be, and it was really nice to be talking to somebody that's not gonna judge you for grieving. I feel like I talked to a lot of guys, and I was just sad. I was depressed, and I wanted to talk about my husband. I wanted to talk about my pain, and I felt like with you, that was not gonna be awkward.
Right. Right.
So I
Yep.
was really excited about that.
Yeah. No, yeah. I was excited too. It was definitely going to be different. I was like, oh, I'm going to go out with a widow. This will be interesting. And for me, so we had a conversation, and after we kind of got through that first awkward phase, I felt like we clicked really well, which is, I don't know, with everybody else, I didn't click like that, you know?
Right. I just remember you started. I think at the beginning you were kind of shy, asking like the most awkward questions.
Oh, very shy.
But then you started saying that you love Disney movies and you started quoting movies. And I quote movies too. I memorize movie lines, and that's where we hit it, right? Like, that's where we're
Right.
like, oh, we have something in common. Like, we like memorizing movie quotes and
Yep.
whatnot.
Yep. Well, and so yeah, with our conversation, you were just a fun person to talk to. Like I actually felt really happy talking to you, and I'm like, oh, I can connect. I can. Oh, this is fun, you know. And so I think pretty quickly we said, well, let's get together, right?
Yeah,
Let's go out.
it came from you. It was definitely your idea.
Yeah.
I didn't think you were gonna ask me out, just because you started asking like police questions. So I'm like, oh, he just wants to chat with somebody. I don't know. I thought we were just gonna be like friends on online, and
Right.
that's it. I really never saw us going out,
Yeah.
honestly, just because you took the longest time to respond. Replies were like every other day or so, and I'm like, oh, he's definitely not interested in me. Where I was used to people just going after me and talking to me and
You
asking me for my phone number.
you had a lot of people chasing you.
You did not ask me for my phone number. You would take super long to reply to my messages
Yep.
and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, we're just gonna be friends, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah. See, I once I started talking to you, I wasn't trying to blow you off or anything. I was at work, and when I'm at work, I'm at work.
Right.
You know, and you're like, oh, message me, and I'm like, I'm busy. You know, because I'm on the phone all day talking to people, and I'm like, I'm trying to remember this story and this story and this story and this story, and then you text me, and I'm like, I'll get to it later. And so yeah, I was hit and miss. I was so bad, and I was in this awkward phase where like I didn't know how to flirt, I didn't know how to talk, and I still felt bad that I was talking to you because I'm like, if I would have done this a couple months ago, I'd be cheating on my wife. You know,
Right.
yeah, because right, Asia died in November, end of November, and we were talking in March.
Right. So it was a year for me, when you and I started talking, and for
Right.
you it was 5, 6 months, around there, right? 4 months.
Like yeah, 4 months.
Right.
Right, it was pretty quick, and it yeah, I think I don't know if it was too soon for me. I don't want to say that because I was lonely and I wanted to talk to somebody. I wanted to go out and date and meet people and have fun, but it was definitely too soon to be committed to anything.
Right.
And yeah, I wasn't ready when you came in. You know, you came into my life and I'm like, I wasn't ready. I was looking for you, but I wasn't ready.
I gotcha. No, it's true. I mean, it is really hard, and it's hard to just start a conversation.
Right.
But you ended up inviting me out to a play.
Yeah. It was so, and this is funny. So I worked with these young kids, right? These 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds. And I'm like, you guys are dating, right? Like you're in that phase of life. What do you do for dates? And so they give me the worst ideas, right? Like best intentions, but the worst ideas. They're like, don't go bowling. And I'm like, all right, I won't go bowling. You know, because one person's up and the other person's sitting or whatever. They said, oh, go to an arcade. I'm like, yeah, like I'm 18. I'll go to an arcade. That date was terrible. Um, and so I said, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. So with you, I said, oh, let's do like dinner and a show, right? I said, that's okay. That's classy. That's kind of the classic date. So I love community theater, right? I did theater in high school. I did lights and sound and stuff. And I like supporting local theaters. Um, they're going to be terrible because they're community theaters, but that's kind of the fun of it, right? It's not serious, but it's you're going out and supporting people. So I wanted a restaurant recommendation from you because I don't know Springville almost at all. And so we went somewhere that you recommended, and then we went out to a show, and that was the comedy show.
It was the comedy show.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so fun, actually.
Yeah.
It was new to me because I was used to just going to the movie theater and dinner.
Hmm.
And so that was really new to me, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I was I was just having a fun time. I was actually in the moment. I was enjoying the moment, and I decided to relax and just be myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a really fun date. Well, and so yeah, I invited you out. You're like, oh, here's my phone number, and I'm like, oh, good, because I didn't know how that worked. I'm
You
like,
never asked for
I
my
never
phone
asked.
number.
Yeah, I didn't know I was
That's
supposed
so
to.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were supposed to.
yeah, my bad. Because I don't know, because if it's a phone number or it's an app or whatever, I didn't care. I'm like, oh, it's all on my phone. Like I can reach you on my phone.
Right.
So I didn't realize phone numbers was a big deal. But
It's okay.
But we got through that.
We got through that, and you finally texted me, and you're like,
Right.
I'm on my way.
Right.
I told you, will you not knock on my door? Just wait for me outside because I don't want my kids to see me leaving.
Yep.
You remember that?
I do remember that.
And you understood that.
Yeah. I have little kids.
So it wasn't weird. For other people were like, what? Kids? What? What? You know, for me, it was like, I'm going to hide. I'm going to live without them knowing. So do not knock on my door. And that was not awkward for you.
Right.
So it just felt right. It felt good
Yep.
to not be weird.
Yep. Well, and so let me pause with that. When I started dating, I didn't tell anybody.
Huh.
I would start dating. I'd go out. I'm like, hey, would you watch the kids or whatever? You know, get somebody to watch the kids. And I would go out, and they're like, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go with friends. Gonna go, you know, just get out of the house. And I would go on dates, and oh man, they were awful. There was one friend I talked to about it, but everybody else I kept it hush hush because I felt bad about it. I was like, oh man, I'm cheating on my wife, or you know, what are people gonna say? Like, what are Asia's parents gonna say, or what's my mom gonna say, or you know, what are my friends gonna say? Because people do they tell you how to grieve,
Mm-hmm.
and they tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Now, in my situation, I was really lucky. Asia's parents were actually really supportive. My mom was really supportive, and they're like, no, you're young, you're healthy, you should go out and date and meet people and enjoy life and have fun, right? They understood I wasn't moving on from Asia, I was moving forward, right? But that's not the case with you.
No. No, it was actually really hard. Coming from a Latino family and coming from the trauma of losing a business. And I didn't trust people, and my parents who were living with me in my house at the time, they didn't trust anybody either.
Right.
And so they're like, you gotta be careful. I don't want people taking advantage of you. So it was really hard. My parents did not like the fact that I was dating. I did it because my therapist told me, and a lot of friends. They're like, you need to move on, stop going to the cemetery. Like the place I would go, and I would just go and buy fast food and go sit at the cemetery and talk to a headstone, I guess. And so I decided that, and my parents were not happy with it. In the Latino culture, I feel like you do grieve, or depending on your religion too. But I feel like all the Latino culture, they expect you to grieve for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So for people to know that I was going out on dates, they were like, "Oh, you didn't love your husband." Right?
Yep.
So I was being judged so much. I was lucky enough that I had most of my friends are white. I really, it's just my family is Latino. I don't have any Latino friends.
You were in Utah, so
I've seen it, but even then, like I love like all my friends, right? I feel like I've been living here in this country more than I lived in my own country.
mhm.
And so I am very Americanized that way. And I love my friends, right? And so I was living between two cultures. At home, it was Latino with my parents, and outside of home, it was 100% normal. Let's call it normal, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I had the support of my friends, but I did not have the support of my parents.
Right.
And it felt so weird because being 33, 34, I'm like, why am I going through this again? Like they're asking me, where are you going? Who are you going with? And why are you doing this? This is so disrespectful to Tyler. And I'm like, no, this is actually normal. Like it's normal. Like here is normal that you can go out and meet others. And like you're saying too, you know, nobody can tell me how to grieve. Nobody can tell me it's time or it's not time. And that's what I did. But you did have to talk to my dad to be able to come to my house.
Yeah.
Just because my dad felt protective of everything. He didn't want anybody else taking anything from me.
Right.
And so I'm very grateful for that he was there for me, that there was a male figure in my house protecting me and my kids. But he did not like the fact that I was dating.
Right. Well, and even when you were dating somebody pretty steady, they wouldn't even let him in the house.
No, and we're just friends, really. Like we're more friends than anything. My son Andrew, he was actually really good friends with him, and so that's why I kept going out with him. He was more of a companion to go watch movies because he loved going to the movie theater, and I'm like, oh, I love going to the movie theater too. So we would go out to eat, or we would go out to the movies, and sometimes Andrew would come with us. So it was more like a friend, but my parents did not like him. at all. And he was actually brown, which is kind of funny.
That is funny.
So they're like, no. And I'm like, he's just like my friend. I'm a friend. So why are you so mad? So my dad was pretty defensive when you came in
Yeah.
to my life.
Yeah. Well, and so when I came to pick you up, yeah, you told me don't knock on the door, I'll come out. You came out, and yeah, I had this panic moment, right? I was just like, oh dear, because you're a short brown girl, and I'm like, that's my wife. My wife's a short brown girl. Oh dear, right?
Short brown girl.
Yeah, that's how it was. And yeah, I had this panic moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to be dating Asia again? I'm like, I don't know how to do this. And I was very nervous, right? You came out, you looked very, very pretty. And I mean, typically I have a hard time talking to pretty women because, I'm married, so don't talk to me. But
Funny.
yeah, you came out and I was just super nervous. And I don't remember, did I hug you hello or
No.
Because it was,
You just basically stood there.
yep.
And
I opened your door
you opened the door of the car.
because I'm a gentleman.
You were a gentleman. And I just went in and we were like, hey.
Yeah. Like
And we got in the car and you were just driving and you didn't even look at me.
yeah.
And I was like looking at you the whole time. I was like, like, yeah, I checked you out the first time I saw you.
Yeah.
Yes. You did not see me. I was like, yeah, this guy's definitely not interested in me. Just like by seeing you and driving and you just like didn't even look at me when we're talking. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I got it.
I was
Like,
so
but at
stiff.
that time I was ready to move on
Right.
to more than just a friend, right? Like
Right.
I wanted to have somebody in my life that would understand me and that would just be there for me, not just a companion.
Right.
Like obviously a companion at the beginning, but I was looking for something more serious for
Right.
sure.
Yep. You and I were definitely in different phases of this thing.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, and, yeah. When I remember being so stiff, I was so nervous. I was just like, oh my gosh, and I kept thinking, what am I doing? And I'm like, shut up, Ryan. Just do it. Like you're okay. You're not gonna die. This is okay. You're okay. And then we drove to the restaurant, and I tried to make small talk because I'm good with people. I'm really good with people. Like I can I can talk to people. I can get stories, whatever. But talking to somebody that I'm interested in is different,
Right.
So
No, I thought it was really good when we went to the restaurant and we started ordering.
yeah,
It was a restaurant that I've been to before. It was actually in Springville, and I was able to tell you what's good on the menu and what's not. And I was actually the one that broke the ice. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I'm like, so what's up? And I said, can we just stop with the BS? Like, let's skip all the BS and just go to the point. Like, let's go straight to the point. Like, I'm here because I'm looking for somebody and I want to skip all the BS. And you laughed and you're like, okay, we can skip all the BS. I don't know if you understood or not what that meant, but I wanted to skip all the BS of like flirting or not flirting, but just the BS of not being open.
right,
Right. Like I'm a very open book and I just wanted to skip all the BS of nonsense.
right. Well, and I appreciated that. Believe it or not, I did. Because yeah, when you said that, I thought, oh, okay, this is somebody I can just be frank with. I can be honest with
just
and
be
be open with.
yourself. Yeah.
There's not this whole, does she like me? Does she not? Am I going to play games texting? Or I'm like, I don't know how to play those games, and I don't want to play those games.
I didn't want to play any games either. I was so tired of that, honestly.
Yeah.
So it was actually really good, and I remember asking you, so what happened to her?
Yeah.
We were straight to the point. What happened to her?
Right. Well, and it was good because we both got to talk about it, and we're like, so what happened? And tell me about your life before. And I thought it was really good. I actually really, really enjoyed going to dinner with you, chatting. I remember I was so nervous. I would talk to you and I kept looking down and I'm like, no, I got to look at you. I'm trying to make eye contact, but then I'd look away, cause it was just hard for me to talk to you. Like if I wasn't interested in you, easy. I'd be like, yeah, let's talk. But I was like, this is a very pretty girl. And we're on this date because we're both interested in each other and to see if we want to have a relationship.
Right. And I wanted to be friends first.
Right.
So that's why I didn't care just being open and just being myself. I honestly didn't go on the date with the thought of we're going to get married. Like, nothing. Like I wasn't trying to flirt or anything like that. I just wanted a friend
Right.
and see where it would go. Right. That was the difference with everybody else that I went out with, is that I just went out as a friend and I wasn't looking for anybody like that. But with you, I was, but I wanted to see if we could be friends first.
Right.
That was like my number one thing. I'm like, do we click? Do we have chemistry? Can we do this? Like, if, for me, that was the number one thing that I was looking for, is to see if we could have fun together.
Yeah. No, yeah, me too. I think on my profile, I was like, I just want to have fun. Right. And I mean it very different than most people. I just wanted to go out and be happy, because
Right.
I was so tired of being miserable, because I was
Right.
miserable all the time. I wanted somebody that would help me forget that I'm so miserable.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Me too.
I loved talking to you. I loved it because we clicked so fast, and I'm like, oh,
did.
we can joke. We get like these movie quotes, and just like, I mean, the Disney humor. I was like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was really fun, and you started smiling, and I'm like, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to peel you like like an onion.
Yes.
But it was okay. But I did peel you like an onion the first date.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I made sure of that, because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I don't want to just wait till the second, third, fourth, fifth. I want to know now. So I'm like, let's skip all the BS and let's just have fun and see
Right.
where this goes. And so you kind of lighten up, and we went to this comedy show, and I kind of saw you going like this, but you never really did anything. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
A little hug me.
I was like, well, because we had some time between dinner and the show, right?
Right.
And we walked around. We just walked around old, I think Spanish Fork
It was
downtown,
Spanish Fork, yeah.
and yeah, there's just a lot of old buildings and stuff where we're going out looking at them, because I was looking at buying commercial real estate, and that's where my brain was. And I'm like, that's comfortable to me. Let's talk about that.
You were talking about commercial property. Like, this is what I would do here.
Yep.
This is really nice. Yeah.
Yep. I stayed in my little zone. I'm like, I'm comfortable here. And yeah, like it was weird, because I don't know. We were walking, and I'm like, do we hold hands? Do we not hold hands? Like,
I am so glad you did not hold my hand.
yeah,
I would have left. I mean, I wouldn't have left, but that would have felt so weird for me.
yeah,
Yeah, I wasn't used to anybody grabbing or touching my hand. I was like, no, don't touch. I never did
Don't
that.
touch.
I'm so glad that you didn't.
yeah.
Because like, to me, in the at least in the Latino culture, I don't know, maybe me, maybe I'm just old, you know,
Old school.
old school. But when you start holding hands, it's because you're in a relationship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'm glad that you didn't do that.
Yeah, me too.
But I did see you, like, you wanted to hug me in a moment.
Right. Well, so when we were at the actual show, we're joking, we're laughing, like it was fun, and I think eventually I put my arm around you, or at least I put my arm on the chair
Oh yeah.
behind
so
you.
did. Yeah.
And I don't know, we weren't like hugging or anything. It was just like my arm's there, and I'm like, that's as good as it gets right now.
Right. Right. No, and I was okay with that. I was just having fun. I was just being me, and you were being you, and we were just having fun. I thought it was going really well. I even joked with you. We went to this little crystal store,
Yeah.
and I thought you were a nerd, because you're like, I've read a book all about crystals. And I'm just
did.
like, oh, he's, inside my head, I'm like, he's a nerd.
I'm
Cool.
a nerd.
You are a nerd. And I was okay with that. I thought you were funny. And, like, you're like, oh, I read a book about that. And what about this? Oh, I read a book about that too. I mean, who's read books about crystals? It's just very,
I was curious. Well, so my friends are really into
I-
crystals.
no, I got that. But like, you don't find somebody that, says, oh, I read about that too.
Right.
That was funny. And then I remember just grabbing a crystal and just telling you, oh my gosh, I can feel it. And, and you looked at me like, what? Can't you feel this crystal? And like, you grabbed it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was all nervous. I'm like, oh, is she nuts? I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah, I remember. I was like, I don't know how to respond to this, because I wasn't thinking, oh, what do I feel? Nothing.
I'm a very playful person.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want you to be
So stiff.
stiff.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted it to be just you. And so I did start playing, and we went along. And then you started like doing that little smile that you have. That one,
Yep.
that one right there.
This one right here.
That one right there.
Yep.
And just looking down, and I'm like, oh, he's so cute. He's got that little smile. And I don't know. I thought it ended well. I'm like, oh, we could totally be great friends and see where this leads, right?
Yeah.
And then we were driving back to my house, and you get lost with
Yeah.
the GPS.
We didn't
So
have the
that
GPS.
we did have the GPS. I remember you had the GPS because I usually just tell you, okay, just turn by the McDonald's or just turn left at the library or just do this. And you came to my house with the GPS.
Right. I did to get there. Right.
Right. And I remember that you had the GPS to go back because you told me I don't know where I'm going.
No, I didn't. I didn't have it on the way back because I like to memorize things because I'm a nerd, and I was like, I bet I can figure out how to get there. I bet I can, right? And I didn't. Yeah, that was.
Well, you had maps.
No, I
That's
could have
what
pulled
I
it up.
remember. That's just what I remember. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But then you ended up getting lost.
Yes, because eventually I thought you were going to tell me to turn, and you never did. And I'm like,
And I was waiting on you. I'm like, oh, he wants to go with me somewhere else.
yeah, yeah. And so yeah, we start going, and we're heading up this the street, and all of a sudden it turns into a canyon, and I'm like, uh oh, I have no idea where I am now. Like, because I'm like, I know you're up on the mountain, but I don't know where.
I just thought you were going to take me out for like a drive or ice cream or something like that. And you just
Oh.
wanted to chat. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm okay with that.
And you're like, we don't have to end it so soon.
We
And
don't
I'm
know.
like,
I was okay. Like my kids were being watched, and I was fine. I was just,
yeah.
I was having fun. I was even like that song from Aladdin came up, and when you and I were
Yeah.
singing to it, and
A whole new world.
yeah, and I don't know. I'm like, okay, where are we going? And you're like, oh, I'm just I'm lost. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's just a code for I want to be with you.
Yeah, I know you don't blame me. I really was lost though, and
Okay,
I
whatever.
did want to be with you though.
Yeah, and so but you get lost and you end up parking and outside of a golf course.
Somewhere. Yeah, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and the whole time. Well, this is funny. So the whole time we're driving up, you're like, I sure hope you're not a serial killer.
Yes.
And I'm like, me too.
Well, it was so dark. We were in the middle of nowhere. You parked outside of the golf course, and I told you I have knives. Like if you try anything, like I can just pop out, right?
Yep, you did.
And you
Well,
laughed.
And,
You did that little smile, and you
Yep.
laughed.
well, and that was even before. Like as we were driving up, because I was totally lost, and you're like, no, it loops around, not a big deal. And I'm like, oh, okay.
It does loop around.
No, it doesn't.
But like till you go at the end of the canyon.
It dead ends, and you turn back.
Right.
I thought
That's
it-
what I meant.
I thought it was like
but I thought you
Cottonwood
wanted to be
Canyon where
with
you
me.
loop
I
around.
thought you wanted to be with me.
Well, I did,
But you
but
ended up
that's-
parking.
Yeah.
Long story short, you parked.
Long story short, I
So I
parked.
thought you wanted to be with me.
Right after being stabbed a couple times.
I guess so.
You did. You're like, bah, bah. And I'm like, oh, you're gonna stab me first, and you're like, yep, I got you. So don't try anything. And I'm like, okay.
I told you not to try anything. Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yep.
I bet that was like a weird comment for you.
It,
I was just
it
being
was,
myself.
it
I was
was
just being
funny.
funny.
No, it was the same thing I was thinking. I'm like,
Yeah.
this would be a good place to kill somebody. No, I was
Just leave the body there.
no, but it was funny. It was fun that you kind of went there too, because right when you're widowed, you have this weird dark humor,
Yes.
and it's more dark than normal.
It is very dark.
Yep. So it was fun just to have kind of that dark humor and not feel bad about it or
Right.
weird somebody out about it, because you get it too.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm so glad
right.
you said that, not me.
That's funny. That's so funny. That's kind of like, no, I think that was even the day that we talked about, if something were to happen, our quote would not say, because two people fell in love. It would say something like, because two people died.
Right.
And you started laughing. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that you're laughing at that. I know it's not funny, but it is funny. Like,
is,
and
yeah.
it is true, right? But we do have that dark humor. But so, long story short, you park.
Getting back on track.
But yeah, do not get lost over here
Oh, I'm
like
sorry.
you did back then.
Wow.
So you park and you do something that I never in a million years I would have thought that you would have done. Like, especially you being so shy.
Yeah, that's true.
What happened
I
and
don't know.
why? I want an explanation now.
I want to know right now. What
I want to know
happened.
right now.
No, so yeah, we parked because we were up there, and I'm like, I do want to spend time with you. And I parked, and I'm like, I think now it's pretty obvious. I'm like,
Now it's pretty obvious.
like-
what you planned. Now it's pretty obvious.
no, that was, yeah. I'm like, I think it's pretty obvious. Like we like each other. I'm like, all right, well, maybe we'll just be together. And I'm like, Ryan, you're just lying to yourself. You're gonna want to kiss her. And I'm like, yeah, probably. Which is weird because I've only kissed two other people, right? One of them being my wife. But you don't kiss on the first date.
No, and I had only kissed my husband.
Yeah.
So for me, kisses are not for sale.
Yeah.
I don't sell them like candy.
Right.
That's the thought that I've always had. Like I said, I'm old school. But you did.
I did.
You did.
I don't know. I don't know. I really, really like being with you. And we had this really good connection. We were joking, having fun, and I forgot that I was miserable for a minute. And yeah, so we were sitting there and we brought our heads close together and we just kind of sat.
I thought we were just gonna play nose. Like, where you put like the noses together.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I didn't know you were gonna like actually kiss.
Well, I did kiss you.
And it was a really weird kiss.
It was the worst kiss.
It was the most awful kiss
Yeah,
ever.
it was bad.
It was like horrible.
No, yeah, 100%. It was.
I mean,
it was like this little peck.
I remember the sound effects of it too. Like it wasn't like a normal kiss where you just go and you like somebody and you just kiss.
Mm-hmm.
This one was like eyes open.
Yeah, it was the most
It
awkward.
sounded like,
Yep.
I'm like, this guy does not know how to kiss.
Yep.
I guess I can teach him. That's what I thought.
Right.
But what did you think? You're like,
Well,
I don't like her anymore.
No, so I kind of kissed you, really awful.
It was
kissed
horrible.
you. Yeah, it was bad. And you didn't kiss me back.
No.
No, you're like, I'm not kissing that.
No.
Yep.
I was just like listening to the sound effects of your kisses.
Yep. And so I was like, uh-oh, she doesn't know how to kiss. We both thought that. We're both like, oh, you don't know how to kiss. And you're like, I can teach you. And I was just like, I'm not going to teach you. I'm done. But it was too bad because I really liked you. I really liked having fun with you. I thought you were absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this beautiful woman comes into my life, widow, 3 kids. I'm like, this is great. Like, this is a godsend. And I'm like, 100% we're going to be friends. But I can't kiss you because it was awful. Absolutely awful. Right?
It was terrible.
Yeah, it was so bad.
It was so, I kind of forgave you for that. I didn't kiss you because I didn't want you to feel bad. I didn't want to make you uncomfortable.
Right.
I believe I'm a great kisser. I don't know if you can agree with that now. But I think I am. I just didn't want to kiss you because I didn't want to scare you.
Right.
And I didn't want to make you feel like, I'm cheating on my wife just because I understood that feeling. I understand that feeling and I didn't want to go there either.
Right.
Like I wasn't ready for that. And so I didn't want to make it like, I just didn't want to have a bad feeling about it. I wasn't ready for that kiss. And so it was horrible. It was awkward. But in me being me, I'm like, oh, I'll teach him if he doesn't know how to kiss. That's okay. We can still be friends. I still like you.
Right.
You didn't like me. You didn't want to know anything about me afterwards.
What? I didn't want to know anything about you afterwards.
Right. Like, wasn't I? So you get lost. You go MIA for like about, I want to say.
No. So what we talked about was, we had our awful kiss. And then we were talking and you said you have finals coming up.
Right.
Right. To me, because I did chemical engineering, finals is like hell week, right? Like you're going through and I'm like, man, I'm studying. I got projects. I'm putting in hours. Like I'm at school 48 hours and then I'll go home, right? I'm there 2 days straight and then I'll go home and grab something to eat. That's not how your degree was. I guess you didn't go and,
I had a lot of reading to do.
Reading. Right.
My degree was literature and it was a lot of reading to do, a lot of analyzing, a lot of memorization.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that I didn't need to study. Like I needed to study. It was a lot of history, a lot of, literature, right?
Right.
So that doesn't mean that I can't text you and say, hey, thank you for going out with me. That's what I was used to.
Yeah.
The other guy that I was going out to, he'd be like, hey, I hope you have a good night. I didn't get any text from you.
Right. Because,
At all.
Yeah. Because I'm very one track. Like when I'm doing something, I'm doing something. Right. When you and I were out, we were out. That was it. Nothing else existed. Just you and me. It was great. And then you're like, oh, I've got finals week. I said, oh, cool. Let's get together after finals week and we'll go.
But you never said
we'll go to the
when.
race car.
And I need to know when.
Yeah, I didn't say a specific day.
I need a specific date. I need to know specific plans. Maybe not specific plans, but to know that we were going out again. Like I just needed to know, did the first date go okay? Like I know I got ruined by that kiss.
Yes.
If we can call it a kiss. But you didn't reach out. And I'm like, okay, this guy does not want to talk to me ever again. He didn't like me. And I asked you because I told you no BS. How attractive do you think I am? And I know that's like a really awkward question to ask when you're dating somebody and you just met, right? Or your first date. But I didn't want any BS. I wanted you just to tell me, yes, I like you, or no, I don't like you. Let's just be friends or whatever. I just wanted the truth. And that's just who I am. Maybe I'm weird. I know I am weird a little bit. But, and you said, horrible. You're like,
Yeah.
you're a 7. I'm like, a 7?
Well, because we have different scales.
Ryan, your scale does not exist.
No, I know my scale doesn't exist. That's what I'm saying. You gave it like a school scale. You said A to F, what one, right? And I said between.
For me, a 7 was barely passing. I'm
Right,
like,
you're
I'm
like a
barely
C.
passing. Yeah. I didn't want to be barely passing. So I'm like, okay, so he gave me a 7, gave me a horrible kiss. He doesn't like me, and he goes MIA. So I didn't think we were going to see each other again. So I reached out a couple of days after, and I'm like, do you want to go out to eat? And you responded like 10 hours later, and you're like, yes. Right? Do you remember that? No, I actually asked you to go to the movies with me to watch this new movie. And you're like, I don't like movies. And I'm like, oh, yep. There it is. He doesn't like me. He does not like me. It's confirmed. And then my brother is like, just invite him out to eat and see what happens. Because I had told my family that I really liked you, and I don't know what happened to you.
They really liked me too. This is weird. So when I picked you up and we were gone for like 7 hours.
We were gone for 7 hours.
It was a long date.
It was a very long date. So I thought we were good. But then you got you went MIA, and I'm like, oh, he doesn't like me, and it made me so sad. You actually made me more depressed than I already was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, what I was going to say was when we were gone, usually your mom would worry.
Yes.
She'd call you and, Maida, where are you? Right?
Yeah.
But when you were out with me, she's like,
He
I wasn't
like a
worried.
good guy.
Yeah, well, she didn't meet me. She saw me through the window.
No, she saw you through the window, but you just seemed so, I don't know, just like
Amazing. Wonderful.
you just look like a very naive, sweet guy.
I was very naive.
Not very risky. It's not gonna do anything risky, you know, kind of guy.
Yep.
So that's why I was me. So this just brings me to the 2 tips of how to go on that first date after you've lost your spouse. Like, do not start judging the person just for the first date.
Right.
Do not start judging them because you don't know how they're feeling. You don't know how they're feeling inside. You don't know what they're going through. I felt like I was the ugliest person ever, and that's not what you meant.
No.
Right? I don't know what scale he has. I still don't understand the scale.
I'm like, that's pretty good. It's a 7. You're like, what?
But that just brings me to saying, guys, do not judge that person that you're going out with,
Right.
especially if he's a widow as well.
Yeah.
Right? Do not assume things because you don't know how that person is feeling, especially if it's their first time going out after losing their spouse.
Right. Yeah. It's.
And for those going out with widows and, and you're a person that got divorced and you've never been married, just be patient with that person.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Be very patient because you don't know how awkward they're feeling, that they feel like they're cheating on their spouse, that they just died.
Yeah. It's not like a normal dating situation where oh, you're going to chase me, or I'm going to chase you, and let's text each other all the time. It's different because, sometimes, especially when you lose a spouse, you just have this wave of depression hit you for no reason.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I feel awful and I don't want to do anything. And you may be MIA for a day or two. And it's not anything personal. That's just how it is. Right? Like,
you just needed your space, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they didn't like you. From what I understand, or what he tells me until this day, is that you were gonna call me a week later or something like that, right?
So yeah. So in my crazy mind, I understood. I said, oh, after finals, let's get together. We'll go karting or whatever. But I really wanted to go out with you again because you were really fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's really fun. I don't know if we can have
a relationship.
Like a relationship. Yeah. Like, I don't know if we could be boyfriend, girlfriend, or go further. But yeah, you were really fun. I had a really, really fun time. And I did want to see you again. I'm like, you need to be in my life, but I don't know what capacity.
Right. And that brings me to the next point of do not assume that just because one little thing ruined the date. I don't feel like you got ruined, but the last little bit it kind of did, right? Because we weren't ready for that step
Right.
of kissing.
Right.
Do not assume that person doesn't know how to kiss, or do not assume that person doesn't like you, or whatever it is. Just give them a chance. Give them that second chance when you're meeting this person. They deserve that chance,
Right.
because it is very awkward at the beginning.
Right.
So for us, it was the kiss. For you guys out there, maybe something else. If one little thing did not go right, just give that person a second chance.
Right. Don't ever analyze it, but definitely just follow your gut. Because if you would have asked me afterwards, oh, how did the date go? Just in your gut, how did it go? I'd be like, oh, it went amazing. The kiss sucked. But other than that, like that was my fault. And it was terrible. But other than that, it was an amazing date. Like
Right.
I got to connect with this amazing woman. She's really fun. She's very pretty, super ambitious. She's an entrepreneur. Like, yeah, like just as friends, I would love to hang out with her again. 100%.
Right. And then number 3, I think keep in touch with that person,
Yeah.
because you don't know how you're gonna make them feel.
Right.
Like at the end of going out with them, if you're not planning on going out with them again, I always believe in second chances. Just text them and say thank you. Say thank you for coming. Thank you for going out with me. That makes them. I think that would have made me feel better.
Yeah.
I would, I would have felt very appreciated for my time. Even if you think no, it's not a match, just thank the person and be
Right.
grateful that somebody took the time to spend with you and listen to you.
Right. Well, it's about opening your mouth and saying what's in your head. Because my problem is I spend a lot of time in my own head and I think all these things, but nothing actually comes out and nobody can read my mind. Right. So like I had a lot of fun, but you didn't know that because
Right.
I didn't communicate very
No,
well.
you were stiff as a nutcracker.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I was so
You were
nervous.
definitely a Christmas nutcracker. The next point is make it natural. Like be yourself. Don't be scared to be yourself. Skip all the BS, right?
Yeah.
Be yourself. If you're flirtatious, go for it. If you're about jokes, then tell your jokes. If you like reading about crystals, tell them that you like reading about crystals, right? Like it's okay to be yourself.
Yeah.
I like people that are open books, and you don't have to be 100% an open book, but just be yourself and be authentic. I think
Right.
being authentic, it's the best.
Right. Well, and I think that's why you and I connected so well was because you said no BS. And I said, oh, perfect. We don't have to play games. We don't have to do these things. Let's just be ourselves. And if you don't like me, you don't like me.
Right.
But if we do, if we like each other, great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If not, it's good to meet you, and thank you. And if not, just say it. Just be like Ryan. If you want to kiss the person, kiss the
Just
person.
do it.
No, I think
and do it bad.
No, I think at that point, do not kiss on the first date.
Yeah.
Do not. I mean, if you're both into it and you both are gonna go really into it, go for it. But if one person is not ready, like I would say, don't do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's up to you and what you're feeling at that moment, right? So I don't regret it, but I thought that was kind of funny
Yeah.
that it happened that way.
It's a funny story.
It is a funny story. Not many people believe it. They're like, I can't believe that you guys got married after that horrible kiss.
The
Do you guys
worst
even
kiss.
kiss? We do kiss. I think I'm a good kisser.
We fixed it. You are a very good kisser.
I actually, so we went on a second date afterwards, if you guys are wondering. And Ryan was acting really weird,
So awkward.
super awkward. And I'm
Yep.
like, okay, I'm done with this. I don't like it. And I called you after the date and I'm like, fix it. Those were my words.
Yeah. You said fix it. And I understood that to mean either you like me or you don't, but don't play games with me. Don't pretend like we don't know each other. Because on the date, I was like, oh, we can be friends, but I never said that.
Right.
And so we had this amazing date. We go out, and then I pull back. Like when I saw you, I was like, hey, and you're like, oh, waiting for me to hug you, and I didn't.
No,
Because
it's so weird.
it was so awkward the whole
I mean,
time.
even if it would have been a friendly hug, or you
Yeah.
don't have to hug me, but I could feel your energy.
Yeah.
And I don't
It
know.
was just like,
And people can feel that.
Right.
Do not give that weird energy to others. If
Right.
just again going back to the other point, just be yourself and
right,
and stop playing the games. I wish you would have told me.
Right. I wish I would have said something rather than thinking in my head and being like, oh, you know what? We can be friends, but we can't have a relationship.
Yeah, just be open about it.
Yep.
Just be open about it. Tell the person how you feel and let them know
Right.
what your plans are. And that's okay. In our case, I told you to fix it, and we met by my house, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it, and you told me, I don't think you know how to kiss.
Yeah. And you're like, you don't know how to kiss. And I'm like, oh, thank heaven. Neither of
I'm
us
like,
know how to kiss. Like, this is great.
I didn't kiss you. I didn't
Yeah.
kiss you back. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. I was
Oh.
so relieved.
Yeah.
It was-
And so, long story short, the real kiss happened
Yes.
on the third date.
Yes. And it was much better. And we're like, oh, there's chemistry here. There's something here. Because we connected on so many other levels.
Right.
Right. It was just nice. And if we weren't going to connect at least physically like that, I was like, we can be friends. That's the
Right.
most.
Right.
But yeah, we fixed it. And I was like, oh, thank heaven.
Yeah, and it worked out. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it worked out because we cut out all the BS
Right.
and we were sincere.
Mhm.
And, we said what we needed to say and we tried again. We gave it a second chance and it went on from there. Now, with the kids, what we did is that we took it in the most natural way. You
Yep.
came and met my oldest when you came to help me fix a tire in my car.
Right.
And I introduced you as a friend. I didn't introduce you as a partner. I didn't introduce you as a
We're
possible
dating or-
stepfather or
Nope.
anything like that. It was the most natural. Hey, you're my friend, and that's what our plan was to like introduce us as natural as possible. Just another person that is our friend, that is supporting us, that wants to spend time with us, that wants to have fun with us,
Right.
and that's why there wasn't any awkward.
Right.
Situations.
And it's not like we weren't kissing or anything in front of them. We weren't holding hands.
No.
We were just friends because we wanted to ease everybody into that.
Right.
Especially with your son who, how old is he? 13?
So he was almost 14.
Yeah. So yeah, you text me, you're like, hey, my tire's flat. And I'm like, I'll come fix it. And you're like, oh, I was just going to call AAA. And I'm like, don't worry about it. I want to come see you. So
Yeah.
I needed an excuse to come see you.
You did. And we acted like the most normal way.
Yeah.
And until we eased into it. And I feel like that's a whole nother topic of how to,
Right.
introduce you to the kids and all that. But we treated it really normal. We treated it very patient. We're very patient, getting to know each other. We made sure we both knew our feelings and that we wanted to try it and that we wanted to kiss and that we wanted to hug and you talked to my dad and you told him your intentions.
Yep.
Right? So that way he could be not nervous about you and
Right.
you told him my intentions. Well, that's I can't
That,
believe what
that,
you said.
that didn't go the way you thought it would.
I cannot believe what you said. I was that was the most embarrassing moment of my life. Can I tell you that? Because all I wanted for you to say was like, "Hey, I'm dating your daughter, and my intentions are that we're gonna meet each other and see where this goes."
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. That's not what I said.
No.
No.
What did you say?
Because, so I felt something for you a lot, right? And I was like, I really like this girl. And so when I met your dad, it was funny. We all sat at the table, your mom, your dad, Andrew, and I was on the other side. And they're like, so what do you have to say? And I'm like, oh dear. Right. And I said, well, I'm in love with your daughter. And you were like, oh my gosh, why did you say that? And I'm like, well, because I'm very direct and I'm just
You
like,
said I'm in love with your daughter, and we're probably gonna get married.
yeah, I said, we're probably going to get married. Not saying we are, we're not engaged. We're not announcing anything.
And I could not believe
I'm
that you
like,
said
but these
that.
are my intentions.
I could not believe that you said that.
I'm like, I'm in love with your daughter. We're going to see where this goes, but we'll probably get married. FYI.
My dad just stared at you like, what?
Yeah.
Didn't you guys just meet?
Yep. Yeah. Cause it wasn't that long into dating.
No, it was maybe like the second, third week of dating.
Yeah.
And all I wanted you was to give peace of mind to my parents that I wasn't going out with some psychopath for 7 hours at a time. It's not like all of our dates were like 7 hours, but the first one was because of the weird kiss. Yeah. But I wanted to give my parents some peace of mind that I
Right.
wasn't going out with somebody that was a psycho, and
Right.
but you ended up saying, I'm gonna marry this
I'm
your
gonna marry this
daughter.
girl. Yep. And your dad said, "Well, welcome,
Yeah.
welcome to my house." And you're like, "Your house? This is my house."
It was funny. He welcomed you into our house,
Yeah.
or for me, it felt like my parents were, because they were taking care of me, basically.
Yeah.
They were taking care of everything, honestly. After my husband died, and so it was like I was living under them, but in my own house. But they were paying for everything, so
Right.
that's what he meant.
Yep.
And he will always see me as his little girl, I think,
Yep.
and that's why he said that. I thought it was really funny. I'm like, I'm so old for this,
Yeah.
but it worked out great. I think if your parents are close to you or you're living with them, like in my case, my parents were living in my house, and you were living with your mom at that time.
Right.
Let your parents know. Let your parents know what's going on, what's happening. Uh, do not leave them guessing.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to be respectful, right? Because
Yeah.
especially with the Latino culture, we wanted to just put it out in the open, let everybody know, say, hey, we respect you as the parents. And I mean, and just to meet your parents.
And especially because they were taking care of our kids too.
Right.
Like if we went out on a date, I had a nanny during the weeks, but on the weekends it was my parents.
Right.
And for you, your nanny was your mom.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to respect them and let them know, like, Kate, this is who she is. This is what we're doing. We're trying this out. Don't just get lost and say, see ya, especially when you have kids.
Yeah. Don't hide it.
I think that support from parents is so important. Like for me, it meant the world to have my parents support me. I felt more protected than not.
Yeah. I thought that was very valuable. Valuable.
There you go.
Kind of chew on one word, at least one word.
So that, yeah. And I think, seriously, just let people help you. Let people help you. Let people be there for you. Have somebody that you can talk to about your dating life. Have somebody give you advice. I think
Right.
that's super valuable. I had friends, other than my parents, that I was able to talk to and that went through dating when they were older, and they were able to kind of guide me through it. So if you have somebody that has gone through dating, especially after they lost a spouse, like talk to them, let them give you advice, be open with them,
Right.
and let them know what's going on. Do not just keep it to yourself, and just don't go out with psychos. They're gonna kiss you on the first date.
That's right. Because that's the worst that can happen. It could be a bad kiss. No. But that's how we started dating, at least, right? That's the beginning of our story.
That is
so,
the beginning. That is the beginning, and it was actually really good.
Yep.
It was a good beginning. We actually went on our just to kind of let you know, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this with the how to date with kids.
Right.
In total, there were 6 for us.
Yes.
But one of the very first things that we did when we were kind of sure, I think when we were more sure than not that we liked each other, was that we planned a Disney World or
Disneyland trip. Yep.
Disneyland trip for the kids.
Yeah.
And we kind of wanted to see the dynamics of how it would work.
Right.
We brought a nanny with us, and we made it happen. And we'll talk more about that later. But just make sure that you do not just take time for the person you're dating, but also bring in the kids.
Right.
Ease them into it and let them get to know the person. Let them have a say in it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when I met your kids, especially the girls, I felt an instant connection, and I felt like they were so happy. I was so happy. I felt, to be honest, to me, they felt like they were my kids. My 3 miscarriages that I had, they were on the dates, on the years that they were born. And so for me, they were like, okay, oh my gosh, here are my kids that I
Right.
lost. And they were there just with no mom. And so for me, it really touched me, and I just wanted to be their friend. That's who I try to be for a very long time. It was just their friend and somebody that they could talk to and trust.
Right.
Right? I didn't come in as I'm gonna be your mom.
Right. Yep. That's the biggest thing. Don't come in as a parent. They want a friend,
They want a
and
friend.
that's what they need.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And then just with everything else, just trust that person that you're going out with.
Yeah.
And if not, let them know that you have a knife.
And you're not afraid to use it.
And you're not afraid to use it. Even when he stops in a very dark spot and parks at a golf course.
Yep.
And tries to kiss you.
But that's our podcast for today. So we just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully that was valuable. We're going to do some more of these, but watch for the next one coming.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for listening to us, and we're so excited to keep going. And let us know if you have any questions. We'll be bringing some people that have also gone through loss and how they're dealing with it. So we're very excited. Thank you for listening.
Yep. This has been 8 Rice Up.